One of my best stories ever. Les Miles told me I couldn't play receiver when I was coming out of high school. So, that was something I had on my shoulders growing up. Les Miles told me he thought I could play cornerback. I wasn't really in full position at receiver yet. So, I just kept working in my craft off season, waking up early in the mornings to work out. I just kept focused.
Turns out Les Miles was dead wrong, and Les Miles was fired before Ja'Marr Chase got to LSU. And because of those comments, Chase even committed to play at Kansas before changing his mind when Ed Orgeron took over. Speaking of taking over, that's what the rookie receiver did in Week 17 against the Chiefs, set a rookie record with an eye-popping 266 yards receiving. Have a day, kid. Championship Sunday selections are presented by H&R Block. Help is here. Speaking of help, two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden is here to help you by putting knowledge in your mind and money in your pocket. The AFC title game runs through Kansas City for a fourth straight season. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, 7-point favorites against Joe Burrow and the Bengals, the total 54.5, BMAC. Will the Grim Reaper collect the souls of Cincinnati and cover the spread?
No question. No question. I'm so fired up. I feel like today is game day. Still got to wait. But I'm taking Kansas City Chiefs covering the spread, and here's why. Pat Mahomes, just as an individual, he's been unbelievable at home. Hakeem, his last 8 home games, he is 7-1. The one lonely loss came from the hands of Tom Brady in overtime. But in those said ball games, listen to these numbers. His offense, they're averaging 36 points per ball game in those 8 home playoff games for Pat Mahomes. He has a total of 27 touchdowns, 23 through the air, 4 on the ground, 1 interception. He has been phenomenal just as a quarterback at home in the playoffs. And then when you look at the Chiefs in totality as a team, Kansas City, the last 6 home games, including the home game last week against the Buffalo Bills, they are 6-0 ATS. They've covered the last 6 home games, and yes, they covered last week against the Bills, even though that game went into overtime. Remember that Travis Kelce game-winning touchdown led to them covering the spread. They have been phenomenal at home in covering their spread. Pat Mahomes has been outstanding at home as a passer, and his offense, they have just followed his footsteps and his arm in delivering big-time throws and scoring a lot of points. And when you look at this line, I know everyone is going to jump on Cincinnati getting 7 points, Cincinnati getting 7.5, depending on where you're shopping. But the thing about Cincinnati, this game is on the road. We saw road struggles from Joe Burrow last week. Fortunate for them, Ryan Tannehill delivered a win in all the turnovers, the interceptions. But they're playing against a better quarterback, they're playing against a better offense, and they're playing in an atmosphere that will be more intense than what they saw in Tennessee. So when you factor all of that into the equation, I like Kansas City to cover. And oh, by the way, Hakeem, the last time I checked, I see the public, I think it's like 73 to 76%. All the public, they're putting their money on the Cincinnati Bengals. Me and you, we work all the time together and we have these conversations. Anytime the majority is going one direction when it comes to the public, what do? We got to run the opposite direction, because one thing about Las Vegas, they always win. So when you look at the public putting all their money on Cincinnati, when you look at the numbers I just read up to you guys regarding Pat Mahomes and how prolific they have been in covering the spread at home in the last 6 ball games, give me the Chiefs.
I got the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. I have a 20-1 ticket.
Wait a minute.
So I'm rooting for the Bengals here.
I mean, but after everything I just told you, do you not want to?
I was a month ago. It was. What do you want to do? It's NFL future.
Fair.
I mean, I put it in a month ago.
That's fair.
So I got 20-1 odds. I'm going to take that. All right, let's get your favorite correlated parlay for the AFC title game. A same-game parlay could go the traditional route of a side. You like the Chiefs. Maybe you play with the total here as well, or you get a little more crafty. What do you have for us?
Look at this magnificent parlay I have. The Chiefs, lane 7, Travis Kelce, over 6.5 receptions, plus 105. Ja'Marr Chase, over 85.5 receiving yards, plus 100. The odds to hit, plus 800. You can go to bare minimum, $25. That brings you $200. If you want to up your bet, extra $50, that brings you $400. I love this parlay because Travis Kelce is going to get opportunities. I talked about Pat Mahomes. He's going to throw the football. Travis Kelce is a guy that will get those receptions. And the thing about Ja'Marr Chase, it's about Jamar Chase just getting the football in his hands. He's a big-time threat. He's a big-time threat. So he doesn't need to get a lot of receptions to be able to surpass that yard total. He's a guy that can turn a 5-yard play into a 40 or 50-yard play. So I love that parlay setup for the for that matchup between Kansas City and the Cincinnati Bengals. Kansas City lane 7, Travis Kelce over 6.5 receptions, Jamar Chase over 85.5 receiving yards. Book it.
Yeah, he had 266, rookie record in the Week 17 matchup. You can watch the AFC Championship at 3 Eastern on CBS. Bengals looking to beat the Chiefs for a second time this season. Meantime, the 49ers are trying to beat the Rams for a third time this season. It's tough to beat a team 3 times in 1 year, but it has been done. You're getting 3.5 points on the road, B-Mac. You've been on the 49ers throughout the postseason. Are you backing them once again against their NFC West rivals?
I will not turn my back on the team that has helped me win money. I got to keep riding it. It's almost like being at the roulette table. If red has been hitting for you, don't you turn your back on red. And I will not turn my back on the San Francisco 49ers. I love the San Francisco 49ers covering this spread, and here's why. They're just a bad matchup for the Rams. The reason why they're a bad matchup, they don't try to finesse the Rams and what they do offensively. They don't try to trick the Rams. They just run straight at the Rams. That's the best way to have success against the Rams and their pass rushers, by running straight at them. And then they get exotic. Kyle Shanahan, he goes in his bags of tricks. He utilizes the play action. He gets wide open pass catches because their running game has been working. That's why they've been so successful. And then when you factor in these two teams, you see the graphic there in the last few ball games, but think about the betting angle as well. The underdog is 6-0 ATS in their last 6 meetings. The 49ers are 4-0 ATS in the last 4 meetings. The 49ers are 5-1 ATS in their last 6 meetings on the road. When they travel to the Rams, they're 5-1 ATS in their last 6 meetings. That is, all of those trends are very, very significant in which side you may want to go. And let's keep it real. The Rams, they have a better team than San Francisco. They had a better team in the first 2 meetings than San Francisco. But sometimes when you have a bad matchup, that outweighs the talent. Heck, the 49ers, they weren't the most talented team last week on the road against Green Bay. But guess what? The matchup, that was a bad matchup for Green Bay. Sometimes in playoff football, matchups outweigh talent. And that's what we're seeing with the San Francisco 49ers. I, for one, know that experience personally because in my rookie year in the playoffs in 06, we weren't always the most talented team, but we were a bad matchup for some teams that had more talent than us, and we just rode that wave to Super Bowl 40 in Detroit when it was cold, but we end up winning in Ford Field against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not saying the San Francisco 49ers will win the Super Bowl, but what I am saying, they're going to cover this spread against the Los Angeles Rams.
All right, there you go. Let's get your favorite same-game parlay for the NFC title game. Take us through it.
Yeah, I got the 49ers getting 3.5. I also have George Kittle over 4.5 receptions. I have OBJ. Listen, OBJ has really been beneficial for me over the last few weeks. I had him over receiving yards last week. The first game in the first round playoff, I had OBJ anytime touchdown. I'm not turning my back on OBJ this week. I'm riding OBJ to be able to surpass his over when it comes to receiving yards. The odds for this parlay, plus 520, is not as intense when it comes to the odds as the first one that I mentioned to you regarding the Kansas City Chiefs and the Bengals matchup, but yet and still, you can cash in big time. $25 gets you $130. Thank me later.
Well,
shout out to Drake, by the way.
All right, there you go. Shout out to Deebo Samuel, who's looking to play a huge role in the upset on Sunday. He was a guest on HQ last month and delivered this statement. Take a listen. Give us a bold statement for the rest of the season for you and the 49ers.
Niners back to the Super Bowl, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Did the 49ers win the Super Bowl? They're 6th.
Yes, sir.
There it is. There it is. Clip that off. And we did clip it off right there. We clipped it off for that purpose. B-Mac, do you agree with Deebo? Are the 49ers your pick to win the Super Bowl?
No. If they match up against Kansas City, I'm taking money Pat Mahomes. We've seen this story before. We've seen these two teams face off in a Super Bowl. It's something about when you have a prolific elite guy at the quarterback position that can keep you away from hoisting that sticky Lombardi. And I think that would happen if the San Francisco 49ers reach the Super Bowl. But in regards to Debo and his guarantee, I wouldn't be mad if San Francisco won their Super Bowl because guess what? Debo guaranteed that victory here on CBS Sports HQ with our guy, Hakeem.
I love it. All right, so B-Max got the Chiefs beating the 49ers in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. As you take a look at the odds to win the Super Bowl, Chiefs are the favorites at plus 125, followed by the Rams at plus 210, looking to be the second straight team to host the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. That'd be pretty wild. Time now for the Here to Help players presented by H&R Block. B-Mac, who are the players that you believe will play a big part in helping their teams on Championship Sunday?
2 non-quarterbacks for me. In the first matchup I would like to highlight is Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow is a young quarterback, very, very gifted, but he is at his best when Jamar Chase is creating separation, coming down with huge receptions, and oh, by the way, scoring touchdowns. If you look at the first meeting, look at those video game numbers. 266, 150 yards after contact, yards after catch, 3 receiving touchdowns. Unbelievable numbers. I'm not saying that he needs to provide these same numbers. It would be great if he can, but he needs to be the best pass catcher on the football field this Sunday when the Bengals face off against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then last matchup, San Francisco, the Rams. Highlighting the San Francisco 49ers offensively, you can talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, you can talk about Deebo Samuel. But what about George Kittle? It's not just about George Kittle as a receiving threat for Jimmy Garoppolo. It's about what he provides in the running game. He is an unbelievable blocker. He's basically an extra lineman when he's involved in the running game, and he does it so well. So when you look at how they run the football and the success they've had against the Los Angeles Rams running the football, and you might not have 100% Trent Williams, you better believe George Kittle will have a huge say-so in the running game production that they would like to have going against the Los Angeles Rams. And don't forget about what he provides in the throwing game as well. I had him in my parlay, by the way, don't forget, over 4.5 receptions. I do believe he will surpass that number, and I think he will have a huge say-so in the passing game, being very, very productive. So those are my 2 players to watch, Jamar Chase for the Cincinnati Bengals and George Kittle for the San Francisco 49ers.
Jamar Chase in history. He's got 225 receiving yards this postseason, 18 yards away from breaking Torrey Holt's rookie playoff record. Jamar Chase, George Kittle, the Here to Help players presented by H&R Block. Bryant McFadden here on CBS Sports HQ. B-Mac, thank you. And you can watch the AFC Championship game on Sunday, 3 Eastern on CBS. You can also check out the Halo trailer, the official trailer during halftime. You can watch the game streaming live on Paramount Plus here on HQ. Pre-game, halftime, post-game coverage.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.